Hello guys, today we are going to discuss recurrent neural network. So before discussing what is recurrent neural network, first we will discuss the limitation of deep neural network and convolution neural network. Then we will discuss what is the need of recurrent neural network. So as we have already discussed in the previous classes that deep neural network consists of the multiple layers where we have single input layers, single output layers and multiple hidden layers. Each neuron of previous layer is connected to the each neuron of next layer. At the output layer, we apply the softmax activation function, which gives the probability for the multiple classes. Then we have discussed the convolution neural network, which is mainly used for the computer visions like image segmentation, image classifications, labeling, object detections, and so on. It consists of multiple convolution layers, multiple max pooling layer, and at the end fully connected layer, which is also known as the classification layer. The main limitation of both the models are the output is independent of the previous input. That means when we give the x1 input to the model, it gives the y1 as output. When we give x2 to the model, it will give the y2 as an output. So there is no relation between y1 and y2. In other words, we can say x1, the output y1 is dependent on the input x1, output y2 is dependent on input x2. So there is no relation between y2 and y1. The second limitation of both the models are fixed length of the inputs. So the length of the input vector x1 and x2 up to xn both are same. So these are the two main limitations of the deep neural network and convolution neural network. Sequence learning problem are the problems where the output of the model is depend on the previous inputs. As we have seen in when we try to type message in the WhatsApp and Google search engine. So when you type a single words, you get an entire sentence. So these type of problem is known as the sequence learning problem. Sequence learning problem are mainly in two types. So in one type sequence problems, we are looking output for each layers. So suppose that if you want to design a model where when we type a single character, it will predict the words. So suppose if I type D, it will predict the word E. When I type E, when it predict the again E. When I type E, the output is P. So it means when the input is D, the output is E. When the input is E, the output is P, and then when the input is again E, the output is P. So these types. So this in this particular problem, we are interested to get the output for each inputs. Now one point need to remind here that the output is dependent on the previous input, because now this E is dependent on this D and E. The output P is dependent on input D, input E and input E. And second thing is that the length of the input is not fixed. So now here the length of the word is 1, 2, 3, 4 because your word is deep. Suppose if your input is college, so the length of the word is 6. Fine. So in sequence learning problems, the output is depend on the previous input, and second one is the length of the input is not fixed. In second type of sequential learning problems, we are interested to get the output at the end of the sentence. So suppose that for example in the case of sentiment analysis, so we are interested to find whether the sentence is positive or negative. So we are not interested to find the output at each layers. Now sequential learning is also used in audio processing as well as the image processing. So suppose if I give you the video of a person, and your task is to identify whether the person is happy or angry on the basis of audio. Now in the second example of sequence learning, in the case of video, suppose if I give you the video and your task is is to identify that what the activity is in video. So for example, suppose if you are having the video of yoga, your task is to identify whether the person is doing Surya Namaskar or other Anulom Vilom and so on. So in order to identify whether the person is doing Surya Namaskar or Anulom Vilom and Kapalbhati, you need to your output is depend on all the previous inputs. So this type of problem is known as the sequential learning problem. Now, so in both the problems, in one type of problem, when we are interested to find the input, we are interested to find the output for the each input. So here we are having the multiple outputs y1, y2 up to yn. So we are interested to find the outputs. Now the y1 is depend on x1. Input y2 is depend on x1 and x2. Input yn is depend on x1, x2 and xn. Whereas in this type of problems, we are having only one output. Okay, so and which is depend on x1, x2, x3 and all the previous inputs. So we are as we have seen that the sequential learning problem cannot be handled by the deep neural network as well as the convolution neural network, as we have seen, because in both the models the output is not depend on the previous input. So we need a model which ensure that the output is depend on the previous inputs. Second, it ensure that that your model can deal with the multiple for the variable size of inputs. And one more thing that need to be need to be addressed by a model is the function at each layers. The function is in this layer, and in this layer are same. Okay, because the reason is suppose that in this layer we have three layers. This is an input layer, this is a hidden layer, and this is a output layer. So the task of this model, the task of this layer, when I give the inputs, it gives whether the particular input is noun, pronoun, adjective, article, and so on. Okay, so now we have already seen in the deep neural network, the output of hidden layer is depend on the input multiplied by the weight plus bias, and this summation is passing to the sigmoid activation function that we have already seen in deep neural network as well as the convolution neural network. Then the output layer at the the output of this layer is h1. So h1 is passing to the output layers, where we are applying mainly the softmax layer. So output is depend on the weight w1, w2, because the weight is w1 here, w2 multiplied by h plus v2, where w1, w2, v1 and v2 are the w1 and w are the weight vectors, where and v1 and v2 are the bias vectors. So in recurrent neural network, so we are replacing the h by the s instead of the stage, and y is the previous output. So that means we can say when the output of this hidden layer is s1, this hidden layer is s2, this hidden layer is s3, this hidden layer is s4, and so on. Okay, and the final output is y1, y2, y3, and so on. So just, and the one more thing, the weight w1 and w2 is replaced by weight u and v. So the weight between input layer and hidden layer is represented by the u. Weight between hidden layers to output layer is represented by the v. I repeat, the weight between input layer and hidden layer is u. The weight between hidden layers to output layer is v, and the v is a bias in hidden layers, and c is a bias at the output layers. Okay, so fine. One of the Till now we conclude that the sequential learning problem cannot be deal with the convolution neural network as well as the deep neural network. We need a models where we need a model which ensure three things. One is your output is dependent on the previous input. Second thing is your model must accept the different length of inputs, and third one is the function which is executing in each layer should be same. The next thing is the parameter sharing. The value of u and v is same for all the layers. So whatever value we have in u here, same value will be u here, same value will be here, same value will be here, and so on. So now, to deal with the sequential learning problems, we are using the recurrent neural networks. Thank you guys. So that we will discuss in the next video. Thank you very much.